tell us what you're doing. Give us your name and tell us what you're doing.
My name is Heady Epstein, and I have a strange kind of voice today, not normally this deep, this growling. I'm about to leave for Gaza to help break the siege of Gaza, because for over 40 years, or by August of 2008, over 40 years, no boat has been able to arrive in Gaza from the outside world. No boat has been able to leave Gaza into the outside world. Why not? Because the Israelis, who claim that they're out of Gaza, have full control over the air, the land, and the sea, and the people. 1.5 million people literally living in an open-air prison, the largest open-air prison in the world. So the Free Gaza movement sent a total of 8 boats since August of 2008. And the first 5 made it there and back. The 6th boat, the Israeli Navy required the boat to turn around and return to Cyprus. And the captain makes the final decision, regardless what the passengers want. So that boat turned around and went back to Cyprus. The 7th boat was rammed 3 times by the Israeli Navy. There were journalists on board, photojournalists on board, and the Israelis are saying, no, we rammed their boat, but the camera doesn't lie. The boat literally limped into harbor in southern Lebanon and subsequently sank during a terrible windstorm. So we lost that boat.
You were part of that group?
I was not on the boat.
You were on them, okay.
No. And the 8th boat, which was in June of last year, the Israeli Navy boarded the ship, arrested everyone on board, took them to jail somewhere in Israel, where they spent about 7, 8, or 10 days. They confiscated the ship and everything that was on there. We were bringing
And you were with that boat?
I was not.
Not with that boat.
I have not been on any boat
Okay,
yet.
all right.
I have tried, but I have not succeeded.
Okay, all right.
And they have not returned the boat to us. I don't know what happened to the medical supplies, school supplies, etc., that were on that boat.
When was the last attempt that you tried to get in?
In June of 2009, the day before I was leaving home to go to Cyprus and board the ship, I was assaulted, broad daylight on my street, and I was injured, lost too much blood to be able to travel the next day. Who assaulted me? Was I targeted? Was it a random act of violence? I don't know.
You also, but you went to Palestine, tried to get in anyway from the Egyptian side?
In December of last year.
Right.
This event was organized by Code Pink, which is essentially a feminist organization dealing with war-related issues. But they took on this issue to try and get people through via Egypt into Gaza. And there were 1,400 people from 43 different countries. And Egypt, that had initially given permission for us to use Egypt as a transit area, revoked all permissions a couple of days before we were ready to leave. There were some additional negotiations, and Madame Mubarak, the wife of Hosni Mubarak, decided that 100 people could go because they're good people. The Egyptian foreign minister said the other 1,300 are hooligans, and they cannot go.
Okay.
I was amongst the 100 who could go, but after some really difficult decision-making, opted not to go and chose to be a hooligan because I did not want to be complicit with the Egyptian government that was going to use the fact that 100 were going to get in, was going to use that as their PR and saying how wonderful they are. And also, I didn't want to be complicit with the Israeli and American government that had something to do with that decision.
I just want to say real quick that there was a good-sized contingent of Veterans for Peace members that were part of that, correct?
Right.
And
right.
And you're a Veterans for Peace member as well, associate
Right.
member. So, Bill, can you tell us a little bit about what role you're playing and
Well,
any
as Heady has attempted to get into Gaza 4 times now, I've helped her with some press relations, helping her get interviews and that kind of thing. And so this time I'm doing it again, and we are interested in this particular boat because it's larger. That is, the flotilla is larger. We're dealing with 3 cargo ships carrying 5,000 tons of building materials and medical supplies, and we're dealing with 4 passenger boats that have 600 people on them. So if this is going to be stopped in the way that others have stopped, it is going to have to be a much larger action on the part of the Israeli government, and we're hoping that they will see the folly in that and not try to stop it at all and abide by international law, which requires them to allow supplies like this into a people who are cut off and aren't able to produce those supplies for themselves. The people have a right to housing, they have a right to medical care, they have a right to food, and they have a right to clothing under the United Nations Charter and under the human rights Geneva Conventions, in the sense that this area is military occupied. And so this flotilla is attempting to do what is legal, and we're just hoping that the Israeli military and their navy that is now preparing through exercises to go and stop this will turn back and allow this to go forward. But that is sort of the drama of this at this moment. As Heady is preparing here, they're preparing to stop her.
Okay.
And 599 other people.
I should have asked you to say who you are.
Oh, Bill Ramsey. I'm with the Instead of War Coalition here in St. Louis and the Human Rights Action Service.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
And Diane, who are you and what role are you playing?
I'm Diane Lee, and I am playing a support role. Heady is a dear friend of mine, and so is Bill. And I am going to back Bill in the press work because he's going to be traveling for a part of the time that Heady's on her trip. And I'm going to be providing any kind of support that I can here in St. Louis as Heady embarks on her attempt to reach Gaza. And I'm very hopeful that she'll be safe and that she'll make it, and I'm very proud of Heady.
Is there anything you'd like to add to the information that's been given?
Only that I was lucky enough to be one of the other women that accompanied Heady on that first trip in 2003, so I've been to the West Bank. I was a volunteer with the International Solidarity Movement, and during that trip came to know many Palestinian people. We stayed in the homes of Palestinians. I talked to a lot of children, a lot of mothers, and really worked hard to educate myself about the issues and the conflict, and am just so supportive of what the Free Gaza movement is attempting to do. My heart goes out to the people of Gaza who are living in a prison, and their lives are very much on hold. It is a form of collective punishment. It is a violation of international law. It's a violation of human rights, and I'm just so, so proud of Heady for being so committed and so passionate in her commitment.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that people will be doing here, if the Israeli Navy does take action against this flotilla, there will be actions at Israeli consulates all over the country, and we're working with people in Chicago to see exactly what will be taking place at that consulate. That's the nearest one to St. Louis.
Okay. Yes, Heady?
This morning I called the office of Senator McCaskill and spoke to one of her aides and told her what I was about to do, and that if there's any problem, I expect the senator to step in and help an American citizen.
Right.
I also called Congressman Clay's office and left a message that I wanted to speak to him or one of his aides. I haven't heard back yet.
Okay.
And my request is the same.
Right. Okay. Good. Well, thank you.